Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the first home savings account.
FHSA.
FHSA. Lots of acronyms you got to remember. This one is great for first-time home buyers.
So, Tyson, when did this program come into effect?
This came into effect April 1st, 2023. So this is a very new program and don't really believe it's very well understood by a lot of people yet in what it offers.
So there is a first-time homebuyer plan in place that's been around for some time now. Is this one similar or does it replace it?
No, the nice thing about this new plan is in conjunction with the homebuyer plan. So the homebuyer plan is using your RRSP money to allow you to buy your first home. This is a whole new account. It is a registered account similar to an RRSP and your TFSA. And what's interesting is that it kind of blends perks about the two together. So it's similar to an RRSP in the way that you actually get a tax saving when you contribute to it. So when you be well aware that when you put your money into an RSP, whatever you put the money in, you're gonna lower your taxable income. So you're gonna get a saving right off the bat. Now, with the home buyer plan, the difference is that when you take the money out, you have to repay it, right? Back into your RSP over 15 years. With this new plan, you don't have to pay it back. After you take the money out of the account, you just simply close it down.
So it's earmarked for your down payment on your first home, not like an RSP where you're borrowing against it.
Exactly. So it is with the specific purpose of you buying your first home. What's also great about this account is when you put the money in, there's a limit of $8,000 per year. You cannot put in more than $8,000 a year.
And for how many years?
5 years.
Right.
So maximum $40,000 you can put into it. If you don't put all $8,000 in 1 year, you are able to add to that the next year.
Top it up.
Top it up. Not completely. I believe that you're not able to put like all 40,000 in if you don't contribute for the first 4.5 years or something like that.
There's some limits.
There's some limits to it, but what's great about it is that when you put the money in, you can then invest in whatever you want, GICs, mutual funds, stocks, whatever you want inside, but that money grows tax-free like a TFSA. Whereas if you put the money into your RRSP and you want to draw money from your RRSP, you save tax at the beginning, but you pay tax afterwards. Where this, you save money at the beginning, but you also save money afterwards.
What if your 5-year plan doesn't work out and you decide you're going to be a digital nomad and you're not buying a house after all?
So you got all this money saved up in this account and you're like, we're not going to buy a house. It's easy peasy. You can do two things. You can either transfer that money to your RRSP, and what was interesting, it does not affect the room. So you may already be topped up in your RRSPs and you're like, what do I do now? I have all this money in this account, I want to put it in my RRSPs, but I don't have room. They don't care.
Oh, you've already taken the tax break on it. That kind of makes sense.
Right? So you can move it over. Or you can take it out, but you will have to pay taxes on it at that point in time, just like taking it out of your RRSP.
So if it's a low income year, if the reason you're not buying a house is because you've lost your job or your business didn't succeed or some financial stress has happened, you can take that out and pay a lower tax rate, which is great. There is a warning though that I would add. Somebody who's carrying high interest debt or who doesn't have an emergency fund, still do that first. This should not be your first line of savings.
For sure. If you're thinking about putting money into this, but you have a lot of other debt that's higher interest, maybe consider doing that. But it's definitely worth looking into. And what's interesting is in a couple situation, each person can have their own. The maximum after 5 years you contribute is $40,000. That's $40,000 each. But this plan is that you can use it in conjunction with the home buyer plan, which allows you to use $35,000 per person on that end. So if you were looking at the maximum that you're able to withdraw, the $35,000 from the home buyer plan plus the $40,000 each from this other plan, gives you 20% down of a $750,000 home, which is quite substantial, and you get the tax breaks along the way, which is great.
Which actually increase the amount of money you have for a down payment.
Yes.
So would you say you recommend it?
I definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
Definitely get started if buying your first home is in the plans in the next couple years. It's a really good idea to get started on this now because it's a little easier to add little bits along the way than to always add these lump sum amounts. Now, one notable difference difference. The first couple months of the new year is RRSP season for most people, right?
Yes.
So they will know how much they made, and then they're going to put a certain chunk in for the previous year. So with this account, you can't do it that way. You have to make the contribution to it within the calendar year. Because if you want to do it in the same time you do your RRSP contributions, you're going to be contributing for the year that you are putting the money in, not for the year before.
It's a great program. It's one of the few things that helps you avoid tax and save for a house. Definitely something to consider, but first pay off your credit cards.
If you have any other questions about this, most of the information can be found online. The website, the Canada Revenue Agency website, has all the information on there about how you can use it, who's eligible for using the program. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We'll do our best to answer them and help you along that way.
We're going to reprint an article that has a really good explanation of this FHSA in our newsletter as well. So if you're not signed up for our newsletter, let us know if you'd like to receive it, and we'll send that along too.
All right, that's it for today. Take care.
Thanks for joining us.